Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Good Servant Show, where we praise Jesus. Yes, we turn up this music. All right, everybody. All right, already, Deb and the Revar here. Michael, yes. I'm pretty happy. My son came today, and so I feel happy about that. And so we're settling in, and I think that's going to be good. So, how was everybody's day today? I know one of the hardest things to do when we go on this journey, right, of finding out who we are to God, right, is that we find out some truths along the way that are very, very uncomfortable. Could be, right? And it's like, wow, does this really go with that? Like, could we ignore that part of it and only talk about this part of it? And it's sad that we're in a time, right? We live in a time where we gotta kind of parse and debate whether or not like we have to ignore any part of the truth in order to forward another part of the truth. I mean, it's sad, isn't it, that we're like, man, maybe we should not talk about that subject, which is true, and focus on this other subject because it's just too much truth, right? It's too uncomfortable. But there's like no way to where's that line, Where's that line where it doesn't matter? And it's good to focus on the good things. It's good to focus on Jesus, right? Keep your mind on God, right? And yeah, and see the thing with flat Earth, right? So that's it, Dev, right? That's one of them, right? That triggers people, right? Is the flat Earth, right? And yeah, of course we sound crazy, right? I mean, you tell him that we're not moving, and we're the crazy ones. You know what I mean? We're not moving. But like, here's the thing. Yeah, right. All truth for me too, Lariva, and um that's the way it should be. Because someone asked me, like, this was maybe a few years ago, even, like, why is flat Earth important? And I'm like, well, I don't know. God put it on the first page of the only book that He's ever given us. Like, so I mean, it's important, I guess, right? I mean, he tells us how he made the made the world, right? I mean, that's part of it, right? It's part of our story. And so yeah, it's important. And when the Holy Spirit reveals these truths to you, like you don't want to, like, He leads you to all truth. It's not just some truth or whatever. And then you find out about these gender cults and all that stuff, and you wonder, like, how far does it go down, right? And it's not to exclude anybody. It's not to we're definitely not talking about anybody's looks, because people in Hollywood are attractive people. It's not even about that, right? It's about, like, how do we help people that have been told, probably, that God is not for them, or that um you know that the afterlife is something that, that they can't achieve. And it's lies, right? And so how do we get beyond these things if we don't know what's going on? And I'll tell you what, I admire anybody that's like a multi-generational occultist, and able to, like, face that, right, and recover. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even about, like, admitting it to other people. It's about just being able to get over it yourself, to be able to overcome, right? Um Has anyone said that to me? You mean as far as what? Say that again, and then maybe I will understand what you mean. Hey, Alex. I don't know if I said hey already, but hey. And I'm wondering, has anyone ever said what to me? Now I'm like interested. Oh, on inverts, like whether or not it's important or not. Yeah, I mean, I've had people tell me not to talk about it. And see, that's the only red flag, right? Like it's really not that important, like as far as like to talk about it all the time. Once you've accepted that it's real, then you can use it as a filter, right? Like if someone says, "Hey, Trump's really going to save us," right? Well, now you know that he's part of a, gender bending cult and his wife's a man, then probably not. He's probably not going to save us, right? And it's only important because of what it does for us, right? Just like the symbolism and the one eye stuff and all that, right? It's like, okay, it it's not really that important. I should be able to do whatever I want, right? But here's the thing, right? And all things belong to God, of course, right? But if there's a way for me to tell the difference between me and you, and you're out to get me, well, that's an advantage for us, Like they have to do it. We don't. Yes, I've had people that thought that they were too bad to be saved. Yes. Yeah. And the reality of it was it wasn't even so much that they were even doing anything that bad. It's if you get told over and over and over again that you are bad, you start to believe it whether or not you are or not. I mean, it's pretty sick, man. Like it's pretty sick. I mean, I ran into one guy, he was like, like I would say by earthly standards, a pretty good dude. He was a better dude than me. Just automatically, he had his own, set of morals and morality, like far better than me, and definitely far better than mine would be without God. And I told him about Jesus and that he's real and that like there's certain ways you can prove that, by proving that the things that these people lied about. And he said that, if God doesn't, he wouldn't just believe, right? Which was not that much, right? Like just believe on God, right? Like, and he said that if God, he said he's a good person, and if God didn't want to accept him, then he said f him, like just like that, right? And I'm like, wow. I mean, like there's people that are fairly good that don't that they feel like that's not for them. There's people that have done stuff fairly bad, right? There's people that have done stuff horrifically. And it's like we have to like convince people at this point, right, that it's not a good or bad kind of thing, right? And trust me, the gap between us and God, right, is so huge as far as how good he is and just how good we think we are, right? Like the difference between us and God is like humongous, and the difference between us and say like I don't know Charles Manson, if he was real, is not that big of a gap. If you're saying that, I mean, it is if you compare it by earthly standards, but we're not all that different. We're all exposed to the same stuff. And of course we got to be better. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, right? It's heartbreaking when people don't think it's for them, or that they won't make it somehow, or that they feel like they can't, like they got to keep re-saving themselves every day, or keeping themselves saved. I mean that would be torture, right? And I mean some people could live like that, and they want to live like that. But I think that, once you have that comfort and security, you end up living the same as the other person anyway, right? Like if there's somebody living, then I'll open my mind to that. Like, oh wow, like what's different that you're doing? Because I want to love God the best way I can. So if you're doing something in your life, right, that's different than me, then I'll look at that. Like, like say that you're into the feasts or whatever. Okay, well let me look and see what you're doing and see if that applies to my life, right? And then if I'll do it or I won't. But I'm not going to put it in a definition, right? Because that never works. It never works, you know? Yeah, co-saviors, right. There's no co-saviors. That's a good way to put it. And not only that, but then you'll have people that'll elevate one sin over another sin. Like, oh, he died when he was drunk, so he's not going to make it. But if you die after a little lie, then you can. Like, come on, man. Like, there's always going to be something that we're doing that we're not aware of that is not good. Yeah, the power of the cross is it's so much grace that it's offensive to people, and they can't believe it. The hardest thing to believe is the easy believism. I think it was Miss Maskell said that, and that was a good statement. That the hardest thing to believe is the easy believism, which I don't think it should just be saying words, right? I mean, I get that, right? If you don't have a real heart for God, right, Alex. They're like, oh yeah, at least I didn't kill anyone. Yeah, that's crazy. It's just crazy. But I think there's people that just don't want other people to make it, or they want it to be hard. But it's one thing to think that way, but then if you're not doing it yourself, if you're not living any differently than me and you're saying you're doing something extra, well, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not right either, Like we we got to yeah, can you believe that? So 1776 industry plant, right, which I think is a book of his grace, right? That's Daniel, I think. He's like, yeah, never mind his blood. As if it's I mean the power of Jesus and the power of his sacrifice and the power of his blood, everything is just so great. It's so much. It covers all of us. Yeah, I almost don't even want to say that kind of stuff. Like to even say a sentence like that, then someone could cut it out and say that I said it, Ooh, I got Steven saying this. It's insanity, right? Sometimes I don't even want to read stuff, man. Yeah, our sins killed Jesus. That's right. That's right. I think he was being sarcastic there, where there's people that think that their sin just because it's not murder, right? That it's somehow it's less, and they're all the same. Everybody sins. There's no separate groups of people. There's sinners. There's sinners, and there's God, right? And what He's going to turn us into being, right, when we're up there, is far better than we are right now. An incorruptible, glorified being is way better than a corruptible, fleshy, pain filled, tired, nasty, I can't say enough stuff about. And I used to date a lot, and I used to there's things that in my life were beautiful and wonderful that now I look back and I'm like, there's no way I could do it again for $1 million, there's just no way. Even though, some of those things weren't even really wrong. It's just the flesh is so gross to me. And it's just in the way of everything that I want to do. And I've prayed to God about that. Like, God, just have me desire what you want. Like, I don't even want my own stuff. It's not that I want to do the right thing. I want to do the right thing. It's not that I want to be there. I want to be there. Fully desire to be there. And I sort of got like I sort of got like learned a lesson about that, a little lesson about that. Because like part of this is, listening to people that are going through stuff. And so I listen to people, mostly just listen, but whatever. And there's a big difference between being willing to listen and wanting to listen, and the other person could tell too. Like they can just tell. And I don't know how or why or whatever. It's immaterial. It's from God, right? That we just sometimes we don't even want the thing. We just we want the thing, or we want the other person to want to be there or whatever, more so than the actual thing. And I don't know how to say that a better way. Maybe I'll write it down and I'll figure out a better way to say that. Incorruptible, yes. Well, glorified would be like new and improved or something. Well, so yeah, our glorified bodies, right? We'll get a glorified body that's incorruptible. We wouldn't be able to exist next to him without it, because his glory would just be too much. He's going to look like the sun, It's going to be so amazing. I don't know which book that is, Michael. I would like to know what book that is so I could read it. I'll read it and then we'll do the book. Tell me what the book is after I'm done reading it. Verse 1, my little children, these things I write unto you, that ye not sin. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ the righteous. 2, verse 2, and he is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours, but the sins of the whole world. Praise Jesus. 1 John chapter 2, verse 1. Awesome. Yeah. In fact, I don't even know if sin is the right word anymore, right? Like, can we even sin? Like, all of sin is paid for. We've accepted his grace, right? We've accepted that he took our punishment for us. Isn't it more or less just like, we are commanded to love, and we should all want to be like him. I think that covers everything. I don't even think the word sin that's all done, right? Because if you love God with all your heart and you love your neighbor as you would love yourself, there's no way that you could even get close to doing something. Like, if you love your neighbor, you don't have to be told not to, like, steal his car. This is our enemy now, the last one, and it became because of sin. Our flesh, man. Our flesh, man, is like contrary to our spirit. That's what's crazy about it. He says, I can't fit so many characters in a message, guys. I get that. Yeah, I'll cut you some slack. I want to know how to change that to where I can add, more letters for people, like more characters. I think there's a way I could do it, because now I think it's only 120 characters. He says, sounds like work to me. Yeah, well, that's right. We don't earn our salvation, that's for sure. He does it all. He does it all. It's paid in full. But I think that, right, and so separate from salvation, of course. Yeah, let me be clear about that. We are commanded to love, right? But you're right, that's separate from our salvation. It just says, if you love me, you'll do my commandments. And I believe that statement. I don't believe that it's connected to salvation because it doesn't say that. Sin is because of morality. Well, I think sin is like missing the mark, right? Sin is like, so instead of saying like don't miss the mark anymore because the mark is paid for, then it would be more like just do no evil, right? Do no wrong. Do no I guess do everything in love. In fact, focusing on the what not to do probably isn't the best way to go about it. Focus on love, right? Focus on loving each other. And even when we correct each other, right? Like it should be in love. Like if someone said like, hey, watch your mouth, you know, I guess I got to respond with thank you. Thank you for telling me that because I got to get my ego out of the way and accept that you're trying to help me, you know? And that is out of love, even though it's embarrassing, right? Nobody likes to be called out, right? Now he says wasn't reading chat. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to read some of your stuff. I try to mix it in there. Sin is transgression of the law. Yeah, so I guess it is in there then. I guess if we transgress the law, but at what point are we like consenting to living by the law and not living by the law? That's an interesting study. I would like to do that with you guys. Like try to figure out because there's a lot of different beliefs on that. I like that how you wrote that with the cross in the middle. I think that's pretty cool. Like so if sin is transgression of the law, obviously, like that's the definition, right? And like in archery, sin is to like miss the bullseye, right? And so like at what point are we living by the law? Even like so after we're saved, within our relationship with Jesus, we're trying to match his character, right? We're trying to be like him, right? That's what we crave to be. And if we're in the spirit, it should kind of automatically go that way. Like you'll start to cringe when you see stuff on TV or you hear a bunch of, you hear a bunch of cursing or anything like that. It's like, oof, enough. Not that God's not offended by that. I mean, but but it does make me cringe, so maybe he is. I don't know. Yes, by turning away from sin. Yeah. Keeping or not keeping God's commandments. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. I think as long as you separate whatever you're doing from salvation, right? Because all the glory belongs to God. Like he did everything. There's no part of that is part of our salvation because it's stuff that we can do. I'm sure that probably makes him happy. I don't know. It's hard to speak for God in those ways, right? If everyone would live forever, nobody would steal from their neighbor. Therefore, being mortal makes us sin. Maybe that's a good kind of like kind of a philosophical way of looking at it. If we were going to live forever, would we steal from our neighbor? I don't know, man. I mean, would you? I don't know. Are there people that would live forever and be broke? I don't know. Like I'm at a point where I just don't want anything that much. I just don't want anything that much anymore. Not even to even go get it myself legally. It's like it's really hard to to want things in this world because there's always something attached to it. You always got to sign your life away for something, you know, or be part of something, or fill out some kind of accept clause on your app or whatever. You got to you got to check the box, right? Before you get anything. Sin is what makes us mortal. Yeah, I guess you're right. Because if we were, I get it now. Now I get it fully. Thanks, Alex. That was brilliant. So it says, if it's from Satan, it will make you cringe. Yes, yes. Well, there's a lot of things that are from the devil that I didn't know that it was from Satan, but it now looking back on it and seeing the words to some things, or seeing what the message truly is, then you're like, oh wow, that's devil stuff, man. Because I forget. Oh yeah. I was watching Matt from Quantum of Conscious. Now he's not a Christian, but he was one of the best news fakery, you know, um, you know, uh, scrutinizers, right? Like he was one of the best at spotting media fakery, and he said that he found this seven-sided star or something like that on the Tool album, and the people from Tool were like, "Oh yeah, we just thought it was cool," and the police use it, you know, but it was just definitely a devil symbol, man. I forget what they call it, even a septogram, or I can't remember, but it's a like a symbol of they've been getting away with that for a long time, man. Well, gematria, right? So here's another thing, right, with the gematria. Now, I don't know if knowing it and using it to divine the future, um, yeah, is not good. We're not supposed to do that. But knowing about it, right? So knowing what's happening to us, not to be ignorant of it when it's being used against us. So there are, I don't know, it's kind of I want to know some of the symbolism that Satanists do, but I don't want to know how to be a Satanist, kind of like that. It's like Galatians 3:5. He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? Well, it'd be the hearing of faith, right? You think I'm wrong? Well, what do you think? I mean, what do you think? Completely stay away from it? Don't be aware of it at all? I don't know. I guess I'd have to do more. I guess I'd have to do more research on that then, and maybe I'll change my position. I'll look at it because I don't know, it's tempting here in the end, right, to look at it and say, okay, well, this seems to be matching this and that, and there is something about creation that has code in it like that. I mean, you can't ignore that it is real. And so I don't know. Maybe we'll just have to look at it and we'll figure it out. I like to calmly figure it out. Backmasking, hoodwink, gaslighting victims, blaming. Yeah, yeah. Well, backmasking, right? I mean, there's so many things that are coded backwards, right? It says you can study to know the enemy, but pray Yeah, pray about it first. Yeah, like I guess when I guess my interaction with gematria is just like if someone has a channel and I'll watch their little video or whatever about what things match, but I don't know how to do it or like what numbers. I don't know how to do it. I only know the number of the beast, So I don't even know the because there's like all these different ciphers. Galatians 3, chapter 8, verse 8. Nope. Galatians chapter 3, verse 8. And the scripture foreseeing that God would justify the heathen through faith, preach before the gospel unto Abraham. Well, yeah, I mean that's how we were included in everything. Like I don't think Gentiles even had the law. It was just believing in Jesus, believing on Jesus and what he did for us. It says, can you research to be able to expose what prayer is necessary to prevent attack? Maybe it isn't for everyone, right? Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just two different views, right? And then I don't know. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Cause like I don't ever like my spirit doesn't ever feel bad when I'm like watching like like just watching a video of like the final result, but I wouldn't feel good doing it. I don't know. But I have looked up like the numbers of people's names before to see if it's obviously something that's coming at me. Really, we don't have to do very much to like protect ourselves. God will protect us. Do I follow it? Like, what do you mean, do I follow it, Deb? I mean, in a sense, we all do, right? Because you can't. It's part of the narrative. Like you don't have to look at it, right? But it's happening. Like that's the best way I can explain it. Yeah. No, you don't have to look at it, but it's like because everything was created from beginning to end, there's going to be patterns in it because it's done and it was created. So there's a recipe to that. There's an intelligence behind that. And so there's going to be codes and little things like that. And so that's just one of those things somebody figured out. Yeah, don't put too much stock in it. It's not that big of a thing. I mean, the only number really like that I'm even remotely concerned about right now is the number of the beast. Well, and so the verse where they're talking about the number of the beast, it says, "Allow those who can calculate, or those who I don't want to paraphrase it, but those who can calculate the number of the beast." Right? We'll go to where somebody post that verse where it talks about the number of the beast in Revelation. Yeah, but how many things were immaterial? That's the thing, right? Yeah, everything was good. Yeah. So like Genesis 1:31, and God saw that everything he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Yeah, what's in that? I don't know if anybody wants to post that verse from Revelation about the number of the beast. Oh, Faith, can you post the verse from Revelation that has the no 666 in it? I hate even saying that number. Yeah, I mean, but it says allow those that have knowledge to calculate it. So I mean, somebody's got to know how to do it. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I'm not the best guy to ask about this. Yeah, I would agree to that. I would say looking at like numbers that would like lead to like the discovery of the Antichrist or maybe something like that coming, would be. I don't know what's okay and what's not. I don't really look at it that much. Michael, yeah, I mean, so we can do 10 minutes, probably a little more. Let me make a link. Let me see. Why you gotta be mad, Deb? Shoot, why you gotta be all caps? I'm only at small caps right now, and you're all the way at full caps. That's crazy. It's crazy talk. All right. Okay, I put the thing down there. Yeah, that's what I think too. Industry plant. That's this. Well, you're the one with the caps. How am I supposed to know? If all you do is type, right? And that's the only communication I get from you, and then you do it big, then what am I supposed to think? Is that yelling? What is that? Like, what is the difference between the small caps and the big caps? Is there some kind of distinction between the two, or is it all the same to you? This is an interesting topic right here. Oh, deep voice, deep voice. Okay, okay, okay. I get it. I get it. Now that I know, knowledge is power, right? Hello, Michael. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
So what?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hello. What's
Yeah,
going on,
the
brother?
whole the gematria thing, man. I agree with Deb. Like it's all evil, man. Like it takes our focus off where our focus should be, and it's like it's just craftiness, man. It's all from the devil.
Like the divining of the future, or like what?
I mean, it's what the devil's doing with his minions, man. The whole number thing, like you're not really gonna figure out anything by researching and doing these numbers. Like all you're gonna get is the numbers. You're not gonna There's no reading the future with it or knowing anything. Like, you know,
What? Are you like? So you're saying it's not real, or I
it's
don't
just
understand.
it's a distraction, man. It's that's what it is, a distraction. Because I used to be focused on numbers too, man, and like, oh, what's this number mean? Why am I always seeing this number? It's
Oh
just
no, not that. No, we're talking about like so gematria is turning letters into numerals, right? And finding a code in like, finding a code in like historical books or in the media or people's names to like see, what kind of actions or person or whatever is going to happen in the future. Like
exactly
what they're connected
like
with.
that's what I'm saying, bro. Like you're not gonna
You
get
think that's
anything
not
out of
real?
it, man. It's what they use, man. It's the devil's coding and what people do, and like hidden messages and symbolism and stuff like that. It's just another rabbit hole to, go down that's never ending. you know, like you don't come out of that rabbit hole. It's never ending, bro.
So you're saying there's like that it doesn't work? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is you're not doing anything by it, man. It's not doing anything for you to focus on geometria, like, and do these things. Like, what does it do? Like,
Well, at the Tower of Babel, right? People were split up and their languages were confused, right? And so there's like languages and symbolism and hand gestures and numbers so that they can communicate and not have their it's about the people from the Tower of Babel. It's about that all coming back together again as like a world, or as like a world government.
yeah, I get that. They are doing this stuff, like
Yeah.
hidden messages and symbolism and stuff like that. Like, but like if you just stay in that rabbit hole, like what's the purpose of just in the rabbit hole? Like you got to come out the rabbit hole and focus on the truth that is beneficial.
I guess you're right, because like the people I see that do it, they do it all day. They do it all
Yeah,
day. Now,
right.
but what would you say the value is in like looking at a video that's like, hey, look, these numbers match, and they seem to always be matching. Is there value to that? Like, hey, look, this is what this guy's involved with, and it always seems to match.
Yeah, but it's kind of like what you said the other day, man. If you're looking for something, if you want to find something in that, like you're gonna find it because you're gonna create it. You're gonna make it happen. Like
I don't know. I think that there's something real about it because it predicts too much stuff, and then it shows too much like too many anomalies that are
predict
like
what? Okay, name one thing that it has predicted that you knew was gonna happen the next day because of geometria.
well, I don't really get into it for that, right? But like I would
Exactly.
say
That's what I'm
I would
saying. It never ends, bro. It never has a purpose. It's just
so
always the
no,
same.
so
It's just
there's people that have used it for like I mean stupid stuff like football games, basketball games. Like go over and look at Zachary Hubbard, man. I mean, it's crazy over there, man. It's sick.
yeah. That's really the purpose of it is that like the Bible says, the world is in the power of Satan, like lies in the power of Satan. Like everything here, a lot of things done here is it's going to be stuff like that, demonic and things like that, man.
Nasty.
That's why
Yeah, I agree.
we
I
gotta
agree
find
with
the
you.
truth that sets us free out of that, man. Like there's a bigger purpose in the Bible to be focusing on rather than geometria and things like that kind of take our focus off of what you know
No, I agree with that.
you know what I mean.
I agree
It's
with
just
that. Sounds good to me. I think we should think about Jesus all the time. But like if
yeah,
there's a but I mean if there's a way that I don't want to be completely ignorant as to what they're doing like toward like if like they're using something towards us or like something that like is an advantage of us to like we like if we find out something about them that we could you know avoid or something like that in the future. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's I don't know how much it's worth, right? I mean, I trust God to protect me if I'm in a volcano or if I'm just chilling on the road, right? So it wouldn't matter either way, right? But it's I guess maybe comforting to some people that see like, oh yeah, this here, this and that are matching, or this adds up to that. That's because there's
yeah,
some people that try to predict the rapture like that, man. And I don't
yeah,
think that
exactly.
that's the kind of thing. I don't think that that's the kind of thing for that. I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
do believe that that is the type of thing to
Okay. The
do.
Bible
And
says people want to make it like the Bible is saying we will know the day of the rapture. Like they'll turn that verse into we will know the day. It's not saying the day. What it's saying is the season. We'll know when it's near. We'll know
mm-hmm.
when it's at the door. We'll know the season. We're not going to know the day. Like No one's going to know the day.
Yeah, I never understood. I mean, I guess I guess I understand people saying like, "Oh yeah, this feast is this many days from that feast," and I don't know, man. Certain things like that like sound like okay to me, but like I would never get into it to like look at. I'm excited every day for the rapture to happen. So if
Yeah,
anybody
like
tells me there's a day to be excited about, like the very next date to be excited about, I'm excited about it.
yeah, but they always fail. Notice how anyone who puts a
Of
date on it,
course, of course. It hasn't happened yet.
you
It
know,
hasn't happened yet.
yeah, they've
Like
been doing
what?
that for years, man.
Well, people are excited, man. They want to get out of here. I can't blame them. This is a crazy place down here. It's not always bad. That's the thing, right? It's not always bad down here. And we're not really like we're eating and we're all safe and nobody's getting hurt, right? Around us, right? There's countries where it's far worse, right? Trust me. And there's people in pain, right? But even on those days that it's not so bad, it's still wacky and it's not good for us just to even be out there. Like there's nothing savable about it except other people. And so anything about it kind of makes me cringe, right? Now, could I exist in it in the world and live out there and be able to make it? Probably. I mean, but everything feels like a scam. Everything.
Well, it is.
And so yeah. So yeah, I would say overall, like Gematria is probably some kind of evil thing, right? But I think there's some level of like if things are already figured out and it's already there,
Hard
I
doing
take
that stuff.
take a look at it.
Don't get me wrong. The devil and like they are doing that stuff. They know what they're doing, man. They know the numbers they're doing and stuff like that, man. But what I'm saying is it's not something the Lord wants us to focus on, bro. Like that's not it. Like it's not all about following gematria, in order
Yeah,
to be
I
or
agree.
something like it's just a distraction, man. Like it distracts us from the truth.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think like the more we focus on Jesus, the better off we're gonna be.
Yeah, that's it. Like end the show. Go to Jesus. Done.
Right, right, right. But at the same time, right, it does that sounds simple, right? But at the same time, it's like, well, there's not much to that. It's basically keep your mind on Jesus, right? But how do we do that, right? Like, how do we explain someone going through the process of their day, showing examples of how they do that for other people to see? That's really the benefit of it, right? Like to focus on Jesus, and so do I. But showing people an example of doing that throughout your day, right, is helpful to other people, I think.
Yeah. Well, he wants
Yeah.
to speak to all of us. Like he wants all of us to go to him and like learn from him
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So that's what he really wants. Like he doesn't want us focusing on rabbit holes and stuff like that. He wants us to go to him. Like that's the most important thing.
Yeah. I think that anytime that we're like feeling like maybe uncomfortable or insecure or scared or any kind of feeling that's uncomfortable or even the good times too, but to go straight to God with those things and not to any person, right? There shouldn't be anything between us and God, right? Like someone else's opinion of me is not gonna like affect me because it's me
Yeah,
putting them before God, right? And so
that's true.
it's like even if they're saying a good thing to me, that shouldn't make me feel better. Only you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
tickling ears, right? I should be able to go to God, or when I'm going to somebody that's like wise counsel or whatever, I'm going to talk to somebody. God should
Yeah,
always be
because
involved in that conversation. You know?
it doesn't hold any value. It's a little it's a comfort for that time being, but it's like not annoying. It's not a for sure thing. Like the only way we can know it's for sure is when it comes from him. Like that's how we know it's for sure, and we don't need any man to like nobody can deceive us and take us away from that because we know it comes from him. You know?
Yeah. It's all good, man. This world is messed up, and he is all good, and I can't wait to get there. Good show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man.
That was a quick 15 minutes, man. That went by fast.
Yeah, it
But
did.
anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Michael. I appreciate it, man. That was good. That was good stuff, man. Appreciate it. Alrighty, guys. I love you guys. It was, I think, it was a pretty good little last part. I think we got a little bit lively, and I think that's good. Yeah, good stream. And maybe we learned something, maybe we didn't. I don't know. But thank you for coming out. Love you guys, and I'll say praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace, and all the glory goes to God because he deserves it. Please pray for the children. Pray for anyone being victimized out there. Pray for each other. It's important. People were praying for me today, and I needed that. That's for sure. And so I thank you guys for that. And I will see you guys, Lord willing, tomorrow at 7 a.m. God bless you.